At this point, just getting into week 5 of the season, I'm able to craft every single weapon from this season. As you can see here, all the patterns are complete. It was quite the grind, made a lot of mistakes, and I just want to let everyone know how you can be as efficient as possible when farming this season. So starting out with the dungeon, you want to farm the final boss only until you get everything you want. And if the only thing that you're missing is Red Border Epicureans, then you can farm the first encounter because it supposedly drops more often from that. But really just farm the final encounter for everything because it has 2 drops and can drop anything. Even though it weights the pulse rifle and the machine gun as its main weapon drops, and you'll probably get a lot of armor pieces, it's still worth it to farm that over the other ones because it's just straight up faster than the second encounter, and the first one's not fun to do because it doesn't drop Storm Chaser if you need a good roll for that. And so that's that for the dungeon. In terms of everything else, what you want to focus on is being able to focus those weapons from the Crown of Sorrow, get the upgrades as soon as possible to focus opulent and haunted weapons, and instead of individually focusing them, costing 27 Umbral Energy, you want to just buy the engram that gives you a chance at any of them, because that only costs 7, so you can get almost 4 for every 1 that it would take you to individually focus them. Even if you really want a weapon, I still recommend, if you're trying to get everything eventually, I still recommend going for the individual focus. Not for the individual focus, for the all-inclusive engram, because that's the most efficient way. I did not do that at first because I really wanted a beloved and such, and it made my grind all the more longer. I think I've gotten 9 Red Border Beloveds now in the time that it took me to actually get all the patterns for the rest of the weapons, and so it was just a waste of time. You'll be farming a lot of containment and picking up opulent chests with your opulent keys. The best way to go about that is really just continuously loading into instances until you get at least a tier 2. You can be more specific than that if you really want to, trying to find late tier 2s or even tier 3s, but I wouldn't recommend it. And so just go for the tier 2s and you'll go a lot faster. And the only other upgrades that I would really recommend for the Crown of Sorrow, I guess I can load there, are the ones that give you Umbral Energy from picking up chests, because you'll be doing that a lot, and any way to get more Umbral Energy is always going to be important. The upgrade that allows you to hold more Vestiges of Dread puts it up to 5,000, so it doubles your capacity, which is good. Not completely necessary, because when you just run out, you can start farming the dungeon to give yourself a break of containment, and you'll refill your Vestiges of Dread, so you don't really need to worry about that. In terms of statistics, I've done the final boss for the dungeon 209 times, and that was not necessary. Both by the time I had everything besides Epicureans, I still did a lot of these farms, just because I wanted to get more Epicureans. But you don't need to farm the final boss once the only thing you need is Epicurean, which I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to a lot of people, because that's what happened to me. That does not include the first encounter farms, which I also farmed a lot for Epicureans. Epicurean is just the bane of my existence for this season, and like I said, unless you're really lucky, it's going to haunt you too, no pun intended. So those are my upgrades. I've gotten a couple more since I finished the grind for all of the non-dungeon weapons. These first guaranteed red borders are more important to get later, because at the beginning you'll be grinding a lot more, and this is just more to polish off your collection to get the ones that you really want. But the ability to focus haunted and opulent weapons is the most important. Like I said before, grabbing these engrams instead of the individual ones is always going to be better until you're really late into it. So I've done, it took me 187 containments to get everything, 118 chests, and as far as severs go, I don't think it tracks that, but I've done a decent amount of severs. That's my percentage for nightmares killed, if you're curious. As far as severs go, the bound presence that is required to open the chest at the end, you can consume multiple to that, so you don't have to run a sever every time you get a bound presence. You can hold on to them and then do one and get however many drops of loot that you had for bound presences. So the highest number I know of is 5. One of my friends turned in 5 and he got all the loot that equates to that, so you don't need to run those every time you can. Other than that, this is a really long grind. I wouldn't be surprised if Bungie fixes the drop chance for Epicureans from this dungeon, because it is very brutal. So good luck farming, because you're going to need it, and thanks for watching.